All right, it's a mock day. I mean, I say that every time, and then I realize they're all mock days, ladies and gentlemen. They're all mock days. Today, we're going fourth pick, Yahoo mock. I don't know. Well, you guys can see the screen. Doesn't matter. Mock starts in 90 seconds as everybody's joining up as we speak. I am Dan Bespris, and this is an extra edition of Old Man Squad Fantasy Basketball. We did a live Q&A this morning. I thought that went relatively well, so hopefully we can do some more of those over the coming weeks and months. And later on today, I have what I think is just going to be a huge crowd pleaser of an episode. You guys will love it. But in between, thought it was time to do a mock. If you want to get into our next mock, you got to follow me on Twitter, at Dan Bespris. That's where I put the link out. It fills up real fast. I've said it before, like, this year for me, my intention over the next, now it's like 10 calendar months, is to just do as much as I can for free, maximum free. If it doesn't work, we'll start the world's cheapest Patreon or something like that. So, maybe that's a thing that could be for subs next year or something like that, or 2 years down the line, whatever. But if free tends to work, and so far so good, I'm just going to keep rolling like this. So follow on Twitter, follow Old Man Squad as well. Please continue to hit the like button. That's a big deal for YouTube. Subscriptions, also massive. You guys know the drill at this point. Let's go ahead and make the draft window larger. I have the fourth pick, so I'm assuming I'm getting Shai in this one. Maybe I should have given myself the third pick just to guarantee it, because honestly, I think I want to go Shai in this draft. I would like to do either a punt-threes or a punt blocks build. No, sorry, punt-threes or punt. What's the other one on Shai? Doesn't have to be punt blocks. I guess it's basically a punt-threes build. So we'll treat this mock a little differently. Basically, we're going into it with a goal in mind. Now, again, he could come off the board right here and then whoopsies, then it'll be a Luka mock. Nope, there goes Luka. All right, so we're going Shai at 4. And you guys know I'm not actually that high on Shai this year. I think he's going to be like number 6. But I don't care. You're going to get elite steals. You're going to get decent blocks out of a guard. You're going to get great percentages, good scoring, okay assists and rebounds. Not like nothing special there. Assists and rebounds from Shai. They're both fine. He was at 5.5 boards a game, 6.2 assists. Those are both solid, but unspectacular. And then, of course, the big one with him is he's a guard who doesn't hit many three-pointers. That's the big issue with Shai. So I like this idea. I've been talking a lot about punt blocks builds lately, and we'll do a mock that's a punt blocks mock. I just realized I left my water somewhere else, so I'll be abandoning ship to go get that between rounds here, probably after my my third round pick. By the way, it looks like there's a team auto drafting. I think it appears as though his queue is set. So I don't think that's actually, well, we'll wait and see, but I think it's a queue. After my third round pick, I'm gonna go get my water. But basically what I was saying here a moment ago is I want to go into these mocks with a particular build in mind. I also think that in terms of punt threes, that could end up being, if I'm not going punt blocks, punt threes might be my next go-to, provided I don't end up with, Steph in the first round. That would ruin that. Doncic would ruin that a little bit as well. Those are kind of the big three-pointers guys early. But because Jimmy Butler keeps falling to me in the fourth round, and, so it's a risk, obviously, but like if I'm punting threes, then it becomes a really easy decision to make. So anyway, there's the board in front of you. The first round went Jokic, Wemby, Doncic, Shai. You heard that already. After me, Giannis at 5, then AD. Trae Young went real early at 7. Tatum at 8, Embiid at 9. Halliburton fell all the way at 10, which is beyond wild when you could have Halliburton and you go Trae instead. Kevin Durant at 11, Steph at 12. It's coming back around to me now, so I got to zoom out for a minute. Devin Booker is a great choice here in punt threes. He doesn't hit that many. Domantas Sabonis, these guys are both terrific. Scotty Barnes is a good choice in punt threes. Chet Holmgren, who I'm not a massive fan of, but is a perfectly solid choice in punt threes. A lot of them here in the middle of this second round. There goes Booker, and I'm guessing Sabonis is going next, so I'm probably going to end up with Scotty Barnes. But that's a stellar start to my team. Good percentages. Barnes went. So, all right, I got Sabonis then. So punt threes build, Domantas Sabonis is a behemoth. Shai's so good at free throws that Sabonis' free throw issue becomes sort of wiped out. My team is now good in boards and assists, getting them from a center instead of the guard almost. Steals are still good. Blocks are not great, but punt threes at this point is cooking because Sabonis was number 12 in punt threes. Shai was number 2. Like, this is tailor-made. As it loops back around to me, I probably want to look at guards in this range. Although, again, if Jimmy Butler gets to me in the 4th round, then maybe that covers a little bit of that. So let's see who's floating around. Obviously, if you're just looking at a strict punt threes team, big men are going to jump up the board. So you kind of want to look at, okay, what are the hard ones going to be in this early going to get? What are the difficult categories if I'm punting threes? And it's probably going to be assists, steals, and scoring, and maybe free throw percent. So there's a possibility I might just have to take those things, even if the guy does hit some 3-pointers. It ain't the end of the world, ladies and gentlemen. It ain't the end of the world. It's coming back around to me now. I'll give you the 2nd round, and I'll go get my water in some order. It'll be the first commercial break, basically. Womp womp. Jalen Brunson, like, very solid choice for this. Not that he hits some threes, but I need these guard stats. There goes Brunson, so that one's dead. Paul George, not as great here. He's very, very good in threes. I don't want to go too far over the ledge. Cade is interesting because he's not a massive 3-point shooter. Jalen Johnson is a really interesting one. I'm getting more in the defensive side. Cat hits threes at the center spot. I'm going to end up with centers later, so I don't think I need them. So I'm leaning towards Cade or Paul George here. And I think I probably want... we'll go Cade. It's early, but I don't think it's that nuts. He does hurt my field goal percent a bit, but I don't care because of the guys I have so far. Good steals, good assists, good scoring. Some threes, not an overwhelming amount, but I had to make sure I got guard stats early because the big men... they're going to be there. Punt threes build, I'm going to be loading up on big men in a couple of rounds, or because not many of them hit threes. Basically, at this point, all I want to do is avoid a big man who wastes any of his ability on hitting 3-pointers. But we'll take a commercial break while Dan remembers to get his water. Water required. Delicious water. So I can talk my way through a mock draft again. Here's the draft board. 2nd round was Donovan Mitchell. Harden, he's going real early again, guys. Be ready for that. Kyrie, too early there for me. Anthony Edwards, Damian Lillard, LaMelo Ball, Devin Booker, Scotty Barnes. That left Sabonis for me, which I was okay with. Chet Holmgren went right after. Then Şengün and LeBron James finished up the 2nd round. I am interested to see if this Arthur fellow is actually auto-drafting, so we'll watch the top of the board here and how much does that screw things up. Come on, guys, seriously, like, you joined it off of Twitter. You got to be here for it at that point, and if you're not, you got to get the hell out. But if you just, Arthur, if you just set a Q, I'm going to not kill you. What, JJJ and Bam, were those the top 2 guys on the board? I didn't even notice. Might have been. Well, that would be extremely disappointing. Well, it is what it is. We'll continue to build our team out. So there's a draft board. The 3rd round, Kawhi, Brunson, Fox, Cade, Maxey, Paul George, Markkanen, Van Vliet, Jalen Johnson, Cat, DeJounte, JJJ. Nothing really super out of the ordinary there. I probably went earlier than need be on Cade. Freddie Van Vliet was another option there, but I want the scoring. I got to get scoring. All right, it's coming back around to me, and a lot of my favorites are off the board. This is, again, where I'm looking at guys that are not 3-point reliant. Jimmy Butler is a really good choice here late in the 4th round for a punt threes team because he's very, very good at a bunch of stuff and, again, doesn't waste any of his value on threes. DeMar DeRozan is another one if I wanted to sort of stockpile that type of player. Butler, a little better field goal percent. I mean, either way, DeRozan probably plays in more games. Butler probably superior in steals, although that's something I want to make sure I'm good in. I could end up with both of those dudes and just keep piling up scoring and assists and steals and percentages without wasting, again, any draft capital. And I know I'm, one center so far, but there are just so many left. There's so many, and a lot of the later ones punt threes. So it's me now. I'll go Jimmy Butler. I think I'm going to end up with him late 4th round in a lot of drafts, which is why I want to go safer early. You could see in this one, I took guys that I expect to play in 70-plus ball games with my first 3. So that allows me to go Butler in the 4th and not worry as much about the missed games angle. I'll give you the draft board again, viewers, after I make my 5th round pick. Reminder, folks, if you like these things, please show it by liking, subscribing, retweeting, rating, reviewing, all that stuff. It's a big deal, truly. And it's the thing that's going to allow me to keep cranking on the free side. I love not having to worry about 3-pointers. This is actually a delight. I'm thoroughly enjoying myself. At some point, I'm going to need to get some blocks, though, so that's problematic. I don't know that I necessarily want to punt both. And pretty soon, the guys that block shots are going to be guys that also ruin my free throw percent. So that's something to think about. Jalen Duren is not a guy who blocks shots, and he's the guy that's kind of up near the top of the board that does that stuff. I don't know how I don't take DeMar DeRozan here. Like, he's there, so I have to. Because all these other guys, aside from the big men, are hitting 2.5 to 3 3-pointers a ball game. And not as good as Butler and DeRozan in a bunch of the other categories. Like, you can make an argument for Darius Garland with the better assist totals. But, like Butler, DeRozan, they score as much, might even score more. And between the two of them, I'm getting 10 or more assists a ball game. And Cade's going to be 7, and Shai's 6, and Sabonis is 8. I haven't taken a guy yet, I don't think, that's going to be under 5 assists a ball game. So, yeah, maybe I don't have a tray, but I'm racking them up. Here's your 4th round, those taking it in via video feed. Bam Adebayo, Nikola Vucevic. That's real early on Vooch. John Morant, Jalen Williams, Desmond Bane, Miles Turner, Jared Allen, Rudy Gobert. Whoop. It's flying along now. I think that dude is auto-drafting. That's disappointing. Jimmy Butler was me. Then after me, went Banchero. I don't like Banchero. I really don't. Franz Wagner. I don't like him early either. Although punt threes, he would have been a better fit. Mobley, Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown started the 5th round. Then it went Emmanuel quickly, Siakam, then my DeRozan, Zion, Derek White. Darius Garland, Tobias Harris, back half of the 5th round. Toby's starting to go real early. Jamal Murray, Mikal Bridges, Julius Randle, and Jalen Duren. 6th round, starting with Miles Bridges, DeAndre Ayton, and Mark Williams. Mark Williams would have been a pretty good target for me had he made it back. He, however, did not. So now we got to go with the board. This is time where I got to start thinking about the center position a little bit, or I'm going to get caught with my pants down. Or at some point along the way, I could also just go early. Like Isaiah Hartenstein would be a great fit for my team because he does block some shots. Jakob Poeltl's a bad free throw shooter, but he's not an awful fit, and my team could definitely take it. Although Sabonis, not great there, but Butler, DeRozan, Shai, Cade, these are all big positive impact dudes. I don't know that I need to go to the guard route, and it's coming up on my turn here, so I got to make some choices quick. Do I want to go Brook Lopez and just try to lean into the blocks, even though he does hit some threes? No, because I think you got to make sure you get some rebounds out of this equation. Josh Giddey is not a terrible punt threes guy to grab if he's floating around. So I'll throw him in the queue, and it's my turn. I think I probably have to go with one of my big man targets. And it's going to be Poeltl, Hartenstein. Which one do I want here? I think I'll probably go with the dude who's not as bad in free throws. So I'll go Isaiah early at 69. I think he's going to have a massive year, honestly. I think 75 is an easy hit for him, and I don't mind taking him a pick or two too soon to make sure he gets back to me. Now I got to make sure that, again, I'm not going to win blocks, but I also don't want to fully punt it. So someone like a Zubats later is going to be an important grab. Where did John Collins would be one that could go later on. I'm not going to do those guys yet because I don't think I need to. Looking at some of these guys, I mean, it might be Giddey now if I want to go with another guard who's okay at percentages. I don't need the steals as much from Giddey because even Hartenstein is good at those. And Josh, like my team's actually not that bad in turnovers despite all of these guys that can pass. Cade is not great, and Sabonis isn't outstanding, but pretty competitive in those still. There goes Josh Giddey. Best laid plans. All right. So what's the pivot here? Do I go with another big man and take JV early? He's not the best fit because he doesn't block that many shots. Austin Reaves is not terrible. He doesn't hit that many threes, and he'll collect the other stuff. Zubats, Collins, Reaves. Time is short. Oh man, what do I want to go with this one? Yeah, we'll go Austin Reaves early. Just keep boosting points and boards and assists and percentages. Because again, I would have rather had Giddey. I think he would have been like a better version of kind of the same type of stuff, but he got taken. So it is what it is. That one I got caught with my pants down a tiny bit. I probably talked too much and analyzed too little. All right, here's the board. What have we missed? The rest of the 6th round after Mark Williams went Bradley Beal, Devin Vassell. Beal, by the way, is a good fit for this as well. Zach LaVine, Michael Porter Jr., D'Lo, Hartenstein, that was me, Kuzma, Brandon Miller, and then Brandon Ingram, who, by the way, Ingram, I don't pretty much want him anywhere, but he's also not a terrible fit for this type of build. I think if you were punting threes last year, he was number 80, and if you're going 8 cat, he jumps like another 15, 20 slots, so not horrible in this build. And again, you continue to get those points, but also I kind of want nothing to do with the Pels, so that's the other side of that equation. 7th round so far. Tyler Hero, Josh Giddey. That's the one that cost me. CJ McCollum. I went Austin Reaves early. Drew Holiday, Jonas Valanciunas, Keegan Murray, Jabari Smith Jr., Cam Thomas, more towards the back end of the 7th round, so that's kind of interesting. Nick Claxton, Herb Jones, Yusuf Nurkic, and then Kobe White starts the 8th. Jalen Green, the next one in there. It's time for me to figure out what the hell I need to do with my team. And truth is, I most likely need another big man because I have a lot of scoring from Shai and Cade and Butler and DeRozan, and even Reaves is going to score a little bit. Sabonis will score some, but not a ton. Rebounds are fine, not spectacular, but again, those big man stats I am leaving out there a little bit. Remember, we're punting threes in this one, so choices are out there. Pirtle's still there. Punch a hole in what's pretty good free throw situation right now. So not my favorite selection. I don't think I need Jalen Suggs. My team's in pretty good position in steals. Chris Paul is a low 3-pointers guard if I wanted to rack up some more assists in the mix. So is Tyus Jones, although his role is a little bit weirder. Draymond Green is a low 3-pointers option, but doesn't score. So that's on the table and does block a few shots. Whoops. Bobby Portis doesn't really block many shots. There goes Pirtle, by the way. So that one hurt. Onyeka Okongwu, Ivica Zubats are probably the 2 centers that make the most sense for my team. I think I'd lean towards Zoo if he's there. Brandon, you jerk. I got to get my Twitter followers out of this thing. So Zubats, I think, normally makes it to me at 93, but he got drafted at 92 in this one. So I will go, it's either on Okongwu or John Collins. Okongwu's got the better blocks upside. Collins has the better scoring. We'll go John Collins and hope that he gets that starting job as opposed to waiting on a Clint Capella move again. All right, so that shored up a little bit of my issue in big man stuff. What do the standings look like? I'm currently listed as the number 1 team from a Roto standpoint. This is based on last year, I guess. On projections, it's lower, but that's fine. We'll go last year by averages. Well, now I'm going to start to fall behind because other teams are making 2 picks, and I've only made the 1. I don't need to look at that right this second. I think at this point, I'm just going to take guys I like. I don't think I need to worry so much about the team. I don't want most of these guys at the top of the board. I don't really want Chris Paul. The fact that my centers can pass means I'm in pretty good shape there. Okongwu, I mean, I'm not going to take Mike Conley if Chris Paul's still out there. There goes Chris Paul, so he's not. Collin Sexton, how did I forget about him? He's perfect for this build, so he's my next choice, unquestionably. More scoring, more stats. Don't need the defensive stuff. Collin Sexton at 100. Absolute no-brainer in a punt threes build. Only hits 1.5 threes a game from that guard spot. Continuing to rack up medium assist guys. The turnovers are a little bit of trouble, but it'll be okay. Amen Thompson is my next guy if he gets back to me. I doubt he will because I'm drafting against people that follow me on social, but you never know. Al Horford, as much as I love him in general, doesn't really make a ton of sense for this particular type of team. A punt free throw guy is a possibility in here if I really wanted to try to lean into blocks a bit more. And, Walker Kessler does have some, if he plays more, upside and a little bit of a John Collins handcuff element going on there. So I'll put him on my list. Again, not a primary focus, but on the list. Gary Trent Jr. makes no sense. I know he's a guy that I sometimes end up with. Names are flying off the board right now. Daniel Gafford is honestly someone I should probably take now because he's the last center who blocks shots that isn't horrible at the free throw line. He's the last one because the other ones are all gone. Once Okongwu went, now it's Gafford or bust. Dyson Daniels late. Let me throw PJ Washington on the list also. I like to scroll down and plop him in there just so I don't forget. There goes Horford. I 1, 2, 3, 4 more picks before mine. Gafford versus Draymond Green versus Amen Thompson. How do I decide between Amen Thompson and Daniel Gafford? Whew. That's a tough one. Maybe one of them will get taken here before me. There goes Amen Thompson. All right. Well, I didn't have to make that choice. Now, hopefully one of my guys makes it back. Derek Lively. His free throws are a mess. And then he takes Gafford. Brandon, you're not invited to any more of these because no one else was looking at Gafford at 116. I promise you. Okay, so now I'm actually kind of annoyed. I know that you guys are going to get a good laugh out of it. I don't have another selection here ready to go. It makes no sense. Like, I'll take Mitchell Robinson just because. But I think I'm going to quit after the 11th round because this is not how a real draft is going to go. I'm drafting against people that are drafting my list. I don't want to draft against my own list. It's going to make me think I have to go earlier on guys than I really need to. Next mock draft, I think I'm just going to parachute into an existing Yahoo draft and see how that goes. Because repeatedly, you guys are taking dudes 15, 20 slots earlier than their ADP. And I know it's because you're listening to my programs. You shouldn't have to fight against each other for the guys that I'm telling you to take. It makes no sense. Some of these are reasonable. Some of them I expected, but like Gafford's not going at 116. I've never seen him go that early in any of these mock drafts. He's not. He's going 11th round or later. And I was willing to take him 20 slots early here. Anyway, that blew up my team build because you guys took dudes, like Zubats, sometimes he's going in the 90s. That was one where maybe. This is just not a thing that happens. So it doesn't matter what I do from here. And I didn't get the center that can do stuff without screwing up free throws. And now my free throws are not as good anymore. It's just like, it's not something I would have done. So I'll make this pick. There's not even a point in making this pick. So, first 7-8 rounds of this draft, even 9, I think is something we can definitely analyze. I'm not that interested in these last couple of rounds because I'm drafting against my own after 100 board. And that's just not how, don't draft against all people that read the same stuff as you. Doesn't work. Who are guys that are on the board for me here? Like Dyson Daniels, PJ Washington. If you're hearing frustration in my voice, it's because we're like a half an hour in and now I feel like there's no point in doing the end of this thing. But at the same time, the beginning was fine. KCP is there. Everybody's like, oh, he's going to hit a ton of threes. He actually doesn't hit that many threes. I would rather go Dyson Daniels just to see what happens, although PJ has a chance to get some blocks, so that's the one I'll throw on the board. I don't care what happens after this. Tari Eason, like, he's someone that I would think about. I don't know who's going to start for the Warriors. Is Healed or DeAnthony Melton? Could they get in this? I doubt it. I don't really want Podziemski. You guys have heard my list 1,000 times at this point. So if you want more, let's just take it over to Twitter at this point. There you guys can see the queue. I'll make the queue gigantic as I set myself. How's the button to here? I'll put myself into auto pick. So I'm done. We will analyze my full team over on social media. So come on over there. That'll be the sort of Dan Besbris overtime. Dan overtime. But this was, at least for the first 6-7 rounds, not a bad start to a punt-threes team. Shai and Sabonis was a terrific beginning. Cade probably a little bit early, but Butler is great in the fourth. DeRozan's great in the fifth. The move probably was to take a big man instead of Cunningham that blocks shots and doesn't ruin free throw percent. So that's probably the missing piece to this particular build. And again, we'll learn a little bit on the fly here. Those guys dry up, and I went Hartenstein, who does block some shots and doesn't ruin your free throw percent. But because I had Sabonis already, it really, I couldn't go full punt. Like, Mitchell Robinson is not a guy I wanted here. Guys I wanted, and let's bring up the draft board so you guys can see some of the names. Like, let's see, I went Cade in the third. JJJ would have been one to take there. Please don't scroll down, Yahoo board. I don't want this. He's a block shot guy. Not a huge rebounds dude and not a huge field goal percent guy, but guess what? It doesn't matter because I have Shade and Sabonis for that. So blocks in the third is probably the direction because my fourth round pick was so far back that those guys weren't going to get there. I didn't really want Miles Turner or Bam. They don't block enough shots. Jared Allen would have been a low blocks guy I could have thrown in there, but taking him in the third would have been way too early. And at least with JJJ, you get some scoring. But the fact that I got Jimmy and DeRozan after, I wouldn't have needed Hartenstein if I had taken JJJ earlier for the blocks. I could have waited and gone with a heavier rebounds guy, 1 or 2 rounds later. I could have gone, Zubats instead of Reaves or Valanciunas instead of Reaves or something like that. And it would have just changed kind of the totem pole, the ladder rungs here. If I had knocked out one big blocks guy early, then I wouldn't have had to worry about the fact that I was low on some of that stuff late. But I got a lot of guys that I really liked for this build. Butler, DeRozan, even Hartenstein, Reaves, John Collins, Collin Sexton. These guys are terrific punt threes dudes. And again, the one thing you think about is like, all right, if I'm punting threes, I'm probably going to end up taking a bunch of big guys. But you end up making sort of this weird choice because you have Shai. You don't want to lose free throws if you've got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So that means you got to make sure that your shot blocking big man doesn't ruin your free throw percent. That's the hard one to get in this build. Because if you wait too long, you take a big free throw hit. Now, I don't know how often Sabonis is going to get to me at the end of the second round. I feel like most of the time he'll have gone earlier, and I'll be looking at Chet or Damian Lillard or maybe Scotty Barnes there or LeBron instead. We got kind of lucky in this one that Sabonis fell as far as he did. I don't think that's going to happen most of the time. And so when you're thinking about Shai, Lillard doesn't make a ton of sense there. Booker was a guy I liked. Scotty Barnes was a guy I liked. LeBron does hit some 3-pointers. Old is a problem. Brunson, you could go a little bit early for the scoring and the other stuff. So, that's where things get a little bit tricky is if you don't get one of those 2 or 3 dudes in the second round. But we did. So, disaster averted. All right, friends. Thanks for watching. As always, please like, rate, and subscribe on the way out. Follow on Twitter at Dan Besbris and at Old Man Squad if you want to be alerted the next time we're going to do one of these mock drafts. Although, like I said, I might do the next one with randos. Because let's face it, some of you guys are in, old man squad leagues or FBI leagues or whatever, and you're going to be playing against like really knowledgeable dudes who follow my stuff and follow Josh's stuff and follow they might have the B150 or whatever. So you're going to be drafting against really knowledgeable folks. But even then, everybody has a different take. The one type of mock draft that I really don't think is helpful is what this one turned into by the 7th or 8th round, which is everyone's drafting my personal favorites. Because then you start to look at it like, oh, crap, I guess I got to take this guy at like 85. But that's not the case because other analysts feel differently about these players than I do. And someone in your league might be following Roto World or FBI or Basketball Monster or Ethos or whatever, RotoWire or there's 100 of these things. And everybody's got a different take. If you're all following me and you're all thinking, I got to go get Isaiah Hartenstein at before 85, then you create this snowball effect. And suddenly, like, you think you got to take him at 65, but if you're in a regular draft with regular people, you probably don't. So that mucked this thing. I actually believe that mucked this draft up perhaps more than an auto drafter. But either way, I think after about pick 100, this one no longer became a good representation of what your actual league is going to look like, unless you're just playing against people who follow me. But otherwise, early on, yeah, like I think you can rely on Jimmy Butler in the 4th and DeRozan in the 5th in a lot of cases. And that gives you, okay, we don't need to get steals in the 2nd and 3rd round because those guys are going to handle it. I don't need to get free throw in the 2nd or 3rd round. I don't need to get, honestly, field goal either. I don't need to get as much scoring in the 2nd and 3rd round because those guys are going to take care of some of it. They're going to be relatively low turnover guys. So if I wanted to go high in one of those picks, that'll be fine. And that maybe is the key here on the punt threes is understanding who you're probably going to get in the 4th and 5th rounds and building sort of reverse engineering a little bit. Questions, thoughts, comments, throw them in the comments section. It also helps the video get seen. Later on today, my perfect team, my favorite player in the middle of every single round. You guys are going to love that one, I swear. All right, let's all have some lunch. Later, folks.